I wanted to start this video with my Jujube trees. In my June 2021 update video, which I posted a few weeks ago, I wasn't sure if this tree was going to set any fruit. This variety requires a pollinator. The Lee Jujube is listed as a good pollinator. I'll show you the Lee Jujube in a few. First, I just wanted to show you that this one here, it appears that it did set a good amount of fruit, as you can see here. There's a good amount of fruit that's starting to develop, and it still has some flowers that are in bloom. Both of these trees have been in bloom for over a month. This one here that you see now is started to bloom in early May, and my other Jujube tree, the Lee, that one began to bloom shortly afterwards. The Lee started to develop fruit before this one did here. But I'm really happy with the amount of fruit that it wound up setting. Here you can see some of the flowers that are still in bloom. This other tree here in the back, this is the Lee Jujube, and as you can see, it's also got plenty of flowers in bloom, and it does have a good amount of fruit developing on this one as well. This one started to develop fruit a little ahead of the other tree, and some of them have put on a pretty good amount of size, as you can see here. Last season, both of these trees flowered, but I didn't get any fruit set off of any of them. So it looks like this season we'll be getting some fruit off of them, so I'll be able to taste these and see what the flavor's like. I'll be sure to post a follow-up video as soon as I begin to harvest the fruit off these trees. My fig trees are also doing well, putting on a good amount of fruit. This one here in the front, this Peter's honey fig, has put on quite a bit of growth, and it's also got quite a bit of figs that are developing. There are several figs forming on these branches, so it should wind up setting a pretty good crop this season. This other one here is my Excel fig, and it has a fair amount of fruit developing on it. And on the other side of these trees here, I have a Black Jack fig, which is this one here. It also has a good amount of fruit that is developing. Both the Excel that I just showed you and this one here, the Black Jack fig, are considerably smaller than the Peter's honey that's in the front. As you can see, the Peter's honey has put on quite a bit of growth and is starting to overtake this area. I'm going to have to prune this one back in order to allow the other two figs ability to catch up and get a little bit more growth out of them. As soon as I harvest the fruit, I'll go ahead and cut down the Peter's honey down to the size about the other two trees. That way it'll give them a better chance of getting some growth on them. And speaking of pruning, I recently pruned the majority of my stone fruit trees. Most of these trees here, I've already harvested most of the fruit off of them, and some of them had put on quite a bit of growth, so I had to cut them down to a more manageable size. This one here, the spicy nectar plum, still has quite a bit of fruit on it, but I'll be harvesting it pretty soon, and this one will also have to be cut down. It's put on quite a bit of growth, so I need to bring this one down as well to a more manageable size. And these two cherry trees were also brought down to size. That's a mini royal on the left and a Royal Lee cherry tree on the right. I also pruned this Burgundy plum tree. If you've seen some of my previously posted videos, you've heard me talk about my disappointment with this tree. I bought it about 4 years ago and planted it in the ground shortly after buying it. Last few seasons, it's put on quite a few blooms, but it's never set any fruit. That is until now. I was almost certain this season was going to be another year without it having set any fruit, but to my surprise, it wound up setting 2. I didn't even realize it had set any fruit until I walked out here one day and I found one sitting on the ground. And I have to say, although the harvest was minimal, the 2 prunes that it did produce were good size and excellent in flavor. And here is my Little Miss Figgy fig tree, which is growing in a 15-gallon container. This one started to develop fruit in mid-May, and it put on a fair amount. The fruit's good size, but it's still not ready for harvest. It still needs a little bit more time on the tree before these will be ready to be picked. And here's my Celeste fig tree that's growing in a 22-inch container. I bought this tree about 5 years ago and transplanted it into this 22-inch container about 4 years ago. It's developing quite a bit of figs. Just about every branch has several figs that are developing on it. It's been doing good growing in this container, and it's pumped out quite a few figs each season. But I think I'm going to be getting ready to transplant this one into a larger container. I'll probably be transplanting this one to a large wooden container for next season. And here is my black mission fig. This is another tree that I haven't been really happy with its fruit production. It has a few that managed to set this season, but overall the production off this tree has been minimal. And that's mainly due to the lack of branching on this tree. Last season I cut that shorter branch that you see there on the left, and it did sprout a few more branches, so I'll be doing the same to the other branch this season after I harvest the fruit off of it. The persimmons are coming along nicely. This one you see here in the front, the coffee cake persimmon, has managed to put on a good amount of fruit. This one requires pollination from another persimmon like the chocolate persimmon, which I'll show you in a few. But as you can see, they're fairly good size, and there's quite a few that have managed to set. So hopefully these were cross-pollinized by the chocolate. Per nursery info, this variety requires cross-pollination in order to get a rich, sweet flavor from this one here. This is the chocolate persimmon, which also has a fair amount of persimmons that set. And it also requires cross-pollination from the coffee cake persimmon. This other one over here, this is my fuyu persimmon. This one does not require cross-pollination. This one also managed to set a good amount of persimmons, and they're coming along nicely. They're fairly good size. I should wind up with a pretty good harvest between all of these trees, and I'll be sure to post a follow-up video as soon as I begin to pick them. Well, that will be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching. If so, please give this video a thumbs up. I'll be posting update videos on some of the trees I just showed you just as soon as I begin to harvest fruit off of them. So if you'd like to follow along, hit the subscribe button and click on the notification icon so you can get an alert as soon as I upload a new video. As always, stay safe, grow your own, and thank you for watching.